The soft chime of my phone dragged me from the warm glow of my apartment. I glanced down at the screen. See you at Christmas dinner? Mom's counting on you. I inhaled slowly, the scent of my vanilla candle mingling with the winter chill drifting through the window. My fingers, still slick from polishing my nails, hovered over the screen. Reply yes, or let it go to voicemail. I leaned back in my leather chair, eyes on the skyline of Chicago glittering beyond my floor-to-ceiling windows. Life had turned out, well, not exactly how my family expected. A corner office in a sleek, modern building, my name on my own boutique consulting firm, my calendar bursting with clients who actually respected my ideas. Yet beneath the silk blouse and confident smile, the memory of last Christmas gnawed at me. I remembered being treated like an extra pair of hands in the kitchen, whisking gravy, stuffing, cookies, the holiday cook, invisible and unacknowledged, even when I tried to make it perfect. And now, a text from my mother, wrapped in sweet familiarity, reminded me of that role she'd always expected me to play. I set the phone down. My heart was calm, but my mind buzzed. Should I play along this year, smile through the motions, or skip it entirely? The thought made a shiver of excitement and guilt race through me. I'd survived worse than a few disappointed looks. It was 5 years ago, in the cramped kitchen of my parents' suburban home. The oven hummed, filling the room with the aroma of roasted turkey and cinnamon. I was 19, wearing an apron far too big for me, hair tied hastily in a ponytail, and hands slick with butter and flour. My mom barked instructions over the clatter of pans, and my dad hovered with a clipboard, his idea of helping. You need to make the mashed potatoes creamier, Maddie. Mom snapped. And don't forget the cranberry sauce. Your sister isn't skilled like you are, so we need you on it. I nodded, forcing a smile, but my throat burned. Every holiday felt like this. I wasn't part of the laughter at the table. I wasn't allowed to sit until everything was perfect. I was just the holiday cook. And yet, when I dared to suggest a new recipe, or try to carve a dish with a bit of flair, I was met with eye rolls and dismissive. It's fine, Maddie. Just stick to the basics. That Christmas, I remember feeling the sting more sharply than ever. I wanted to scream, to tell them I had dreams beyond their kitchen walls. My hands shook as I slid a pan of roasted vegetables into the oven, and the lump in my throat refused to go away. Then Grandma Rose called me into the living room. Her frail hands held a small, leather-bound notebook. Maddie, she whispered, her eyes soft but firm. This is for your ideas. Write them down. Don't wait for anyone to tell you you're good enough. You're more than this kitchen. Promise me. I clutched that notebook like a lifeline. I promised. And when the last plate was cleared and my family gathered around to watch a holiday movie, I quietly packed my things, slipping out without a word, my apron folded neatly in my bag. It was my first real act of independence, small, silent, but deliberate. I walked to the bus stop, the cold December air stinging my cheeks, and felt a spark of something I hadn't known I had. Freedom. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I wasn't coming back to be treated like the family's unpaid holiday helper. That night, I vowed that one day, they would see me, not as the girl in the kitchen, but as someone who had made her own path. The first morning after leaving home, I stepped into a small coffee shop downtown, clutching Grandma Rose's notebook. Every page was filled with my scribbles, recipes of life rather than food, ideas for businesses, sketches for projects no one at home had ever cared about. I wasn't sure what I was doing yet, just that I had to do something for myself. That winter, I landed a part-time internship at a modest marketing firm. The office smelled of paper and ink, a far cry from the pine-scented kitchen I'd left behind. My mentor, a sharp woman named Karen, noticed me struggling to speak up in meetings. You have ideas, Maddie. Stop hiding them, she said one day, resting her hand on my shoulder. Don't wait for permission. Own your work. Karen became my guide, my unofficial business partner, and, in many ways, the family I'd chosen. I worked late nights, often scribbling notes in the corner of my notebook while my coworkers left for happy hours I never had time for. I doubted myself constantly, whether I was good enough, whether my voice mattered. But each small success chipped away at that fear. The first time I landed a paying client on my own, I held the contract close, trembling with disbelief. It wasn't much, but it was proof. I could thrive outside the kitchen, outside the expectations that had boxed me in. I started taking on more projects, investing late nights into marketing plans, client presentations, and ideas for my own consulting firm. I learned to navigate biases too. Some clients assumed I was young and inexperienced. Others doubted my authority in boardrooms filled with men who had never seen a woman lead like this. I fought quietly, letting my work speak louder than any argument. And slowly, quietly, Maddie Hayes, the girl who once stirred gravy in her mother's kitchen, became Maddie Hayes, the founder of a boutique consulting firm specializing in brand transformation. My success wasn't flashy on social media. I posted modest updates, a photo of a client's store redesign here, a quote about entrepreneurship there, nothing to hint at the real empire I was quietly building. At night, I'd sit by my window, city lights reflecting in my notebook, thinking of Grandma Rose. Her words had carried me through every moment of doubt. Every client won, every new contract, every financial milestone, it was for me and, secretly, for her faith in me. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving on my own terms, far from the kitchen where I had been invisible. And all the while, I kept one thought steady in my heart. One day, my family would see me for who I truly was. Not the holiday cook they had always expected, but someone unstoppable. It was Christmas Eve, and the familiar jingle of my childhood home greeted me as I stepped onto the porch. My parents had no idea I was coming. I hadn't responded to the text. The door opened, and there they were, Mom with her apron, Dad with his clipboard, both smiling expectantly, assuming I'd fall right back into my old role. I let them take me in for a moment. Hair sleek, tailored coat draped over my arm, heels clicking softly against the hardwood floor. The kitchen smelled the same, roasted turkey, cinnamon, pine from the tree, but everything else had changed. My apartment in Chicago had taught me attention to detail, aesthetics, elegance. I carried that energy with me now. They led me to the dining room, where the table was set meticulously, candles glowing. I sat down, and for a moment, the room felt frozen. I didn't reach for a knife or a rolling pin. Instead, I took in their expressions, anticipation, pride, expectation. And I let it hang there. Mom, Dad, I began, voice calm but carrying the weight of years of untold stories. I haven't been making dinner for anyone anymore. Mom's smile faltered. Dad's clipboard shook slightly in his hands. I've been building something for myself, I continued, pulling out my phone and showing them the images of my firm's latest projects, office redesigns, marketing campaigns, logos for major clients. Maddie Hayes Consulting. My own firm. I have offices, clients across the country, and employees who respect my work. I run this, and I make 6 figures doing it. There was a beat of silence. The fire crackled. Mom's lips parted. Dad's jaw tightened. You mean all this time you've been, Mom's voice cracked. We thought you were busy, but we didn't realize. I let them struggle with their own assumptions for a moment longer. Then I showed them my portfolio on my tablet. Contracts, signed proposals, my bank statements blurred just enough to hint at my financial independence. It's real, I said softly. I'm not the girl who scrambles in the kitchen at Christmas. That Maddie doesn't exist anymore. This is me, the woman I became, because I refused to stay invisible. I watched their faces carefully. Shock, disbelief, a hint of shame, amazement. My younger sister's eyes widened and she whispered, "You did all this without telling us?" Yes, I said. I had to do it for me first. I couldn't stay in the kitchen while my dreams waited in the corner. For the first time in years, I felt the balance shift. They had come expecting their dutiful daughter, their holiday cook, the girl who would quietly carry the weight of tradition. Instead, they were faced with someone fully realized, confident, and unafraid. Mom's eyes glistened with tears. "We didn't see you," she murmured. "I know," I said, my voice steady. "And that's okay. I've learned to see myself, even when you couldn't." The room was quiet, heavy with the weight of truth.
I didn't need them to applaud.
I didn't need forgiveness yet. I simply needed them to see me, and finally, for the first time, they did. The silence in the room was thick, but I could feel the subtle shift. The old dynamics had dissolved, replaced with something entirely new. I was no longer just Maddie, the holiday cook. I was Maddie, the woman who had built her own life, and for the first time, I held the upper hand. I leaned back slightly, folding my hands over my lap. I want to help, I began, letting my voice carry warmth, but firmness beneath it. But it won't be on the same terms as before. Things have to change. Mom swallowed hard, nodding. Dad's clipboard now rested forgotten on the side table. I glanced at my younger sister, Hannah, who shifted nervously, sensing the gravity of what was about to unfold. First, I said, I will not be treated as invisible or taken for granted. That means I won't cook, serve, or clean unless I want to, and it won't be expected just because it's a holiday. My parents exchanged guilty looks. I'm here as your daughter, not your assistant. Second, I continued, turning to Hannah, you have talent. You love to paint, but you've spent years worrying about perfection or everyone else's approval. I want to see you pursue it seriously. Not half-heartedly, not just for fun for you. Mom's eyes glistened and she whispered, We didn't know. Third, I said, looking at Dad, helicopter parenting and micromanaging stops now. You can support us, but you can't control our lives. Respect boundaries. That's how you show love. I handed them each a small copy of my grandmother's notebook, the same one that had guided me through my journey. These are reminders of what Grandma Rose told me. Pursue your dreams, take ownership, don't wait for approval. I want you all to find your own paths, but honestly, no shortcuts, no old patterns. Hannah's hands shook slightly as she held the notebook. Mom nodded, wiping away a tear. Even Dad's expression softened, a mixture of awe and reluctant pride. Finally, I smiled, letting the warmth in my voice ease the tension. If we can honor these rules, respect, independence, self-growth, then yes, we can have a new kind of family Christmas. One that celebrates all of us as equals, not just the holiday cook. There was a pause, and then slowly, smiles began to spread. Not the easy, habitual smiles of the past, but tentative, thoughtful ones. They were processing, truly seeing, and starting to understand. For the first time in years, I felt a balance between love and self-respect. I wasn't abandoning my family, I was teaching them to see me and themselves differently. This was the beginning of a new dynamic, one where compassion met firmness, and growth was expected from everyone. The morning after Christmas felt different. The house was quieter, but not empty. The aroma of fresh coffee drifted through the living room, mingling with the soft scent of pine. I watched from the kitchen doorway as my family moved around, quieter, slower, as if they were consciously trying to honor the new rules I had set. Hannah was painting at the little desk by the window, sunlight spilling across her canvas. Mom brewed coffee with care, not perfection, and Dad read quietly in the armchair, no clipboard in sight. The old rhythm of expectation had shifted into something more deliberate, more authentic. I leaned against the doorway, my grandmother's leather notebook tucked under my arm, and let myself breathe. Years of pain, of being unseen, had taught me one crucial lesson. Visibility wasn't about forcing others to notice you. It was about claiming your space and refusing to shrink. Over breakfast, Hannah looked up and smiled. I started sketching a new series, she said, shyly proud. I think I might actually submit it to a gallery this year. My heart lifted. This was exactly the change I had hoped for, small, genuine steps toward their own independence. Mom joined us at the table, eyes meeting mine with unspoken acknowledgement. I didn't realize how much we'd been holding you back, she murmured. Dad nodded, a rare, quiet pride in his gaze. I saw it, the recognition that they had underestimated me, but also the understanding that growth wasn't about guilt, it was about learning. I pulled the notebook from under my arm and placed it on the table. Grandma Rose gave this to me when I was your age, I said softly. It reminded me to chase my own path, even when no one else would see me. I want you all to find your paths too. There was a pause, and then the house felt warmer, not because of the fire or the decorations, but because of the shift in energy. Respect had replaced expectation. Independence had replaced dependency. I took a sip of coffee, watching my family move with new awareness. The past hurt still lingered, a faint echo, but it no longer controlled me. I had emerged stronger, empowered, and graceful in my own right. And as I gazed out the window at the winter sun glinting on the snow-covered lawn, I whispered to myself, a line that felt like both a promise and a declaration. I am seen. I am enough. And I will never be just the holiday cook again.